Level 1. Italy. Benito Mussolini enters the war in 1940, hoping to build an empire while Germany does the heavy lifting. In conventional combat, the numbers aren't kind. December 1940. North Africa. Operation Compass. 36,000 British troops destroy 9 Italian divisions. 130,000 prisoners taken. British losses, 2,000. That's 65 to 1. But conventional warfare isn't where Italy earns its place. Ethiopia, 1935. Italian aircraft drop hundreds of tons of mustard gas on troops and villages below. The Geneva Protocol bans chemical weapons. Italy signs it and uses them anyway. 760,000 dead, not in battle. 1937. Addis Ababa. A failed assassination attempt triggers a 3-day massacre. Black shirts burn homes. Civilians executed in the streets. 30,000 dead in 72 hours. Libya. Concentration camps. 110,000 imprisoned. 40 to 70,000 die behind barbed wire. Italy's total? 1.3 million dead. Level 2. China. Chiang Kai-shek faces a brutal paradox. Not deadly to enemies, but devastating to his own people. China ties down 70% of Japan's army during the war, but the cost isn't paid by Japan. 1938. The Yellow River. Chiang orders the levees destroyed. Floodwaters swallow entire regions. Villages disappear beneath brown water. Dead. 500,000 to 900,000. Mostly civilians. Chiang never mentions it in his diary. Then conscription. Men dragged from villages, chained together, marched without food. R.J. Rummel estimates 3 million die before even reaching combat. 1942. Henan famine. Drought hits. Grain is still taken by the army. Soldiers eat. Civilians starve. Dead. 2 to 4 million. China fights Japan for 8 years. Its own civilians pay the price. Total, 4 to 6 million dead. Level 3. Britain. In battle, Britain is effective. El Alamein, 2,300 British dead, 39,000 Axis casualties, 17 to 1. But Britain's deadliest weapon isn't on the ground. It's 30,000 feet above it. RAF bombers drop over 1 million tons of explosives on German cities below. German civilians killed, 230,000 to 400,000. 1943, Hamburg. Operation Gomorrah. A firestorm consumes the city. Winds rip through streets at hurricane speeds. Temperatures reach 800 degrees. Asphalt melts. People burst into flame running through the streets. 34,000 dead in a single night. 1945. Dresden. Refugees pack the city. Another firestorm. 25,000 to 35,000 killed. Then India. 1943. Bengal. Famine. Crop failure. Aid denied. Winston Churchill refuses emergency imports. 2 to 3 million starve. Not from drought, from policy. Britain's total? 600,000 to 850,000 direct. Up to 3.8 million, including famine. Level 4. The United States. American forces achieve their devastating kill ratios through overwhelming material superiority, fleets of bombers darkening Pacific skies, artillery barrages that turn landscapes into moonscapes, naval task forces that control every sea lane. Against Japan, the ratios speak for themselves. April to June 1945. The blood-soaked ridges of Okinawa. 110,000 Japanese military dead in caves and bunkers. American dead. 12,500. Roughly 9 to 1. The steaming jungles of Guadalcanal. 24,000 Japanese dead, including 9,000 wasted by tropical disease. American dead, 1,592, 15 to 1. The volcanic ash of Iwo Jima. 21,000 Japanese defenders killed in their tunnels. American dead, 6,821, 3 to 1. And that's the toughest fight. Against Germany in the hedgerows of France, the picture reverses. German ground troops inflict casualties 20 to 50% higher than they sustain from American forces, man for man. The US compensates with firepower that turns the battlefield into an industrial killing zone. March 9th, 1945. The wooden neighborhoods of eastern Tokyo. 334 B-29 superfortresses drop 1,665 tons of incendiary bombs through the night sky. General Curtis LeMay's official report from his headquarters. 83,793 confirmed dead. Actual estimates from Japanese authorities, 80,000 to 100,000. 16 square miles of the city burned to ash and rubble. 1 million homeless wandering the smoking ruins. The deadliest single air raid in human history. Over the following months, B-29s firebombed 67 Japanese cities. Flames consume Osaka, Kobe, Nagoya, Yokohama. Total dead from conventional bombs falling on civilian neighborhoods, 300,000 to 330,000. August 6, 1945. The morning sky over Hiroshima. A single bomb falls from the Enola Gay. 70,000 to 80,000 dead in the blinding flash. By year's end, 140,000. August 9th, 1945. The industrial city of Nagasaki. 40,000 dead immediately in the second atomic blast. By year's end, 70,000. United States total, 2.2 to 3.1 million deaths. 5. The Soviet Union. The Red Army fights the largest ground war in human history across the frozen steppes and burning villages of the Eastern Front. 4 years of continuous warfare from the gates of Moscow to the rubble of Berlin. 80% of Wehrmacht casualties occur fighting Soviet forces. Soviet tank columns and infantry waves destroy 607 Axis divisions, 508 German, 99 from Axis allies. Kursk alone cost Germany 30,000 dead. Operation Bagration destroys 28 German divisions in 6 weeks. Confirmed Axis military deaths from Soviet guns, artillery, and T-34 tanks, 4.5 to 5.5 million. More than all other Allied forces combined. German POW columns marching east into Soviet captivity, 3 million captured. Deaths in the camps, up to 1,094,000, according to the Mashka Commission. Historian Rudiger Overmans estimates a maximum of 1 million. The frozen ruins of Stalingrad. February 1943. 91,000 Wehrmacht survivors stumble out of the rubble to surrender. Approximately 6,000 ever see Germany again. Soviet trains carrying deportees into the vast interior. Forced deportations move entire ethnic populations. Volga Germans, 900,000 loaded into cattle cars. Chechens, 500,000. Crimean Tatars, 200,000. Deportation deaths from cold and starvation, 200,000 to over 1 million. 1944 to 45. The Red Army's advance through burning villages into Germany itself. Widespread atrocities against German civilians in East Prussia, Silesia, Pomerania. At least 100,000 civilian deaths during the Soviet push into the Reich. Soviet Union total, 6 to 8 million deaths. Level 6. Japan. Between 1937 and 1945, the Japanese Imperial Army creates what historians call the Asian Holocaust across the conquered territories. December 13th, 1937, the ancient walls of Nanjing fall to Japanese troops pouring through the gates. Over the following 6 weeks, Japanese soldiers massacre civilians in streets, courtyards, and along the banks of the Yangtze River. Prisoners of war beheaded in killing contests. Civilians buried alive. Bodies floating downriver for miles. Dead, 100,000 to 300,000. February 1945. The burning neighborhoods of Manila. Japanese forces systematically massacre Filipino civilians as American troops close in. 100,000 dead. 1 in 20 Filipinos dies at Japanese hands during the occupation. The barbed wire compounds of Japanese POW camps. Allied death rate in Japanese custody, 27%. Death rate in German custody, 4%. Of 60,000 Indian Army POWs taken at Singapore, 11,000 die. The laboratories of Unit 731 in Manchuria. Biological warfare using human subjects. Prisoners infected with plague, cholera, anthrax. Vivisection without anesthesia. Direct victims, 3,000. Biological weapons deployed against Chinese cities kill 200,000 to 400,000 more. The burned villages of occupied China. The 3 alls policy. Kill all, burn all, loot all. Historian Mitsuyoshi Himata estimates 2.7 million Chinese deaths from this policy between 1942 and 45. Total Chinese deaths from Japanese action, 15 to 20 million. Southeast Asia adds 4 to 8 million. Japan total, 17 to 24 million deaths. Level 7. Germany. The Wehrmacht and SS cause more deaths than any other armed force in human history. 6 million Jews systematically murdered in death camps and killing fields across occupied Europe. Gas chambers at Auschwitz-Birkenau processing thousands per day. Cattle cars rolling east from every corner of the continent. Mass shootings in forest ravines across Poland, Ukraine, and the Baltics. Deliberate starvation in walled ghettos. The Einsatzgruppen, mobile killing squads, follow the Wehrmacht east, shooting 1.3 million Jews in the first 2 years of Operation Barbarossa. Bodies tumbling into pits at Babi Yar outside Kiev, Ponari outside Vilnius, Rumbula outside Riga. 33,000 shot at Babi Yar in 2 days. Auschwitz-Birkenau, 1.1 million killed, mostly in the gas chambers of Birkenau. The railway platforms of Treblinka, 700,000 to 900,000. Sobibor, 170,000 to 250,000. But the Holocaust is only part of Germany's total. Soviet POWs captured, 5.7 million. Dead, 3.3 million, a 58% death rate. October 1941, Soviet POWs die at 5,000 per day in German camps. Deliberate starvation, exposure without shelter, summary shootings. The frozen siege lines around Leningrad. The hunger plan devised in Berlin. Germany redirects Soviet food to feed the Wehrmacht. Stated goal: starve 30 million Slavs. Actual famine deaths in occupied Soviet territory: 4.1 million. The siege of Leningrad alone kills 1 million civilians eating wallpaper paste to survive. June 10, 1944. Oradour-sur-Glane, France. SS troops from Das Reich herd 642 civilians into buildings. They set them on fire. 247 women and 205 children locked in the church before it burns. In combat, German soldiers inflict casualties 20 to 50% higher